Hey everyone! Welcome to Happy Groomer. My name is Caitlin and this handsome boy here is Louie. He is going to help me today show you guys how to trim up your baby's fuzzy toes. So let's start off with first showing you a couple of the tools that you'll need to get started. This here is a small cordless clipper from Wall. It has a 5-in-1 blade, allowing you to easily switch between a 40, 30, 15, 10, and 9 length blade. It has an easy on-off button, an easy to read battery life screen, and comes with a recharging dock. The number 9 is going to be the longest setting, while the number 40 is the shortest. You can easily switch between them with the little lever that's up top near the blade. And this is good for if you need things like the face, the feet, the sanitary, little things like that. I wouldn't use it for an all-over haircut, but using it for stuff like the feet and the sanitary is definitely going to be useful for you. So these here are just standard big nail clippers. I ordered them off Amazon years ago and they've held up so well over the years. Very simple, but also my favorite. They are very effective and they seem to keep their sharpness for quite some time. Next is a small slicker brush. This is from JW. I have also ordered this off of Amazon quite some time ago and it's held up pretty well as well. It is cheap but effective and personally I love it. This next tool is a Furminator metal tooth comb. This has a nice grip handle on it, really good for breaking up any kind of tangles, really good for helping prevent matting, and this has lasted me years as well. I think you can order this one off Amazon. Okay, so on to shears. These are thinning shears. These are magic erasers. They are one of my favorite tools. It's really good for getting rid of any blunt lines. You'll notice it has a lot of little teeth and it's really good for blending in fur. Absolutely love these. I use them all the time. So these are your curves. You can see where they got their name from. These are Kenchis. I absolutely love them. They are really good for rounding up feet, faces, and especially if you have a nice like Aussie with a cute little butt, it'll round it out. It's nice. So anywhere you want roundness, you're going to use these. Last but not least, these are small straights. They are good for details and things like short little crevices. Also great for when you're not used to shears and you're not very comfortable with them. It's just a small blade, so it's a little bit safer, so you're not cutting so much at once. So this is pretty much what you'll need. Something I didn't picture is cornstarch or flour, just in case you quick a nail, but we'll go over that as well later on in the video. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I'm just going to brush out Louie, get him acquainted with being on the table. Also, it's really good just to maintain his coat, and he seems to really enjoy it as well. Alright, so now that Mr. Louie is all brushed out, we can go ahead and start by removing the hair under his feet. This is going to help with traction. It's also going to help prevent mats from forming in his paw pads that can be very painful to them. And it's also going to help track in a lot less mud when he comes into the house. You don't want to necessarily dig into the paw pads, but more so graze over the top. When you dig, you could cause cuts in between their paw pads, so you don't want to do that. I am using a number 40 blade currently. You can also use a number 10 if you'd like. Either way is going to be really good for removing the fur from the feet. So if you see here how I kind of pick up the foot, it's a natural range of motion for them, which is going to make it easier and give me more control over the foot, and it's going to make it more comfortable for the pup. Not every dog is going to like their foot being picked up a certain way, so you kind of have to figure out what works best for both of you. I have some clients who just don't want to stand up at all, and I just kind of work around them and kneel down and do it while they're laying down. So the more comfortable the pup is, the easier it's going to be for you to do what you have to do, and it's going to make the experience more enjoyable for them as well. So Lou and I do this about every 6 weeks, so it feels more part of his normal routine than it does a chore to get his feet all cleaned up. It is also really good to, like I said, help prevent mats or anything in between his toes. This is super important to start positive associations with holding their feet when they're puppies. So massaging their feet or giving them treats while you're holding their foot, it's going to make life a lot easier for you in the long run when it comes to clipping the nails or trimming up their feet. Okay, so now for the scary part for a lot of people. You're going to want to clip the nails. You'll notice here his nail has kind of like a curve. You're going to want that blade on your clippers to go where the curve is. If you're not comfortable with this and they have black nails, obviously just take a little bit off at a time. You don't have to try to take the whole nail off. Every dog has a quick in each nail, and that's just a main vein. So if you end up cutting that, you're gonna make them bleed. So just a little bit off at a time. If you notice that it's not doing it, you just go a little bit more. Make sure you have some flour or cornstarch readily available, because if you do get it a little bit too close, you can just apply that to the tip of the nail and stop the bleeding. All right, so now that we've cut the nails, we're going to go ahead and get started with your curved shears and your slicker brush. We're going to start trimming that hair around the foot. It's pretty important to trim the nails first. It's going to set kind of a guideline where you're going to cut for the hair. So first you're gonna brush up all of the fuzzy toes that he has going on. This is gonna be the hair that we cut. Don't apply too much pressure. We're not trying to cut into their foot, obviously, but just remove the fur that's standing up. Holding shears is gonna be a little different if you haven't cut hair before. You're gonna wanna put your ring finger in one of the holes and then your thumb. It's going to feel a little weird at first, but this is going to help with control, and it's also going to help with comfort. So it's going to feel weird at first, but I promise you'll get used to it. So as you can tell, I have taken the bulk off the top, and then I just trim around the edges there. Be careful when you do the back rounding out. Don't put your shears across the paw pads. It is easy to cut them. If you do that, it is a danger zone. So make sure you're just kind of rounding out the edges. Don't go over the paw pads. So you'll notice that hair gets stuck in between their little toes, even when you brush it out. So I typically just take my little fingers and go in between their toes to get any extra hairs, and then snip that as well. If you don't do this, you'll notice it when they put their foot down, and you'll see like random sprigs. You're very confused as to where this hair came from. It's just hiding in between their toes. So I just go afterwards and pull those out as well. All right, so on to my favorite shears and the things I use all the time. The thinning shears. So this is really good for just finishing touches, blending any of the hair that you may have missed, and any lines that may have been created while using the curves. You'll notice it takes a lot more little snips to get the hair, but it'll be totally worth it when it has a nice smooth finish to it. Just a side note that I think is important to mention is that every groomer does do things differently, and their techniques may work better for you than others. Whatever feels most comfortable to you, just be safe, and if ever in doubt, you can always just schedule an appointment with your local groomer. They'd be more than happy to trim up the feet for you. All right, no more fuzz toes. Louie and I want to thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe to our page for more content in the future. Thank you.